The first gaming handheld with SteamOS built in that isn't called a Steam Deck is here. This is the Lenovo Legion Go S with SteamOS. It's the world's first officially licensed handheld powered by SteamOS, an operating system built specifically for gaming. So, how does it stack up? Let's take a look. Now, the Legion Go S SteamOS edition can be configured up to an AMD Z1 Extreme processor and with up to 1TB of internal storage, but the version we're testing here is the model with the AMD Z2 Go processor and 512GB of storage, and this is priced at £499 in the UK and $599 in the US. Now, for context, that's £20 more than the Steam Deck OLED. The SteamOS version of the Legion Go S is identical to the Windows device we tested a few weeks ago, apart from two things: the colour and the OS. This is the exact same device from a technical point of view, other than it runs SteamOS instead of Windows 11. It's even got the same design with Hall effect joysticks, a very small touchpad, it is there, trust me, the 8-inch display, and the solid ergonomics we touched on in my previous video. Now, we'll put the full specs of the device on screen now, but yes, just to confirm again, the SteamOS version of the Legion Go S is identical to the Windows version in terms of specs and hardware design. That is apart from the colour, of course, which is Nebula Nocturne, this sort of bluey purple colour, which honestly is absolutely stunning in person, and I much prefer this to the white of the Windows version and much prefer it to the black design of the Steam Deck OLED. Although I really like the sort of retro look the MSI Claw has gone for, I'd say this is the best looking handheld I've tested today. It really is stunning in person. Hopefully the beauty comes across in this video. You look at it from certain angles and it looks blue, and you look at it from other angles and it looks purple. It really is a lovely, lovely colour, and I think it's probably the best colour I've seen on a handheld yet. But obviously the big selling point of this device is that it's the world's first officially licensed handheld powered by SteamOS. Now, if you've been living under a rock somewhere, SteamOS is Valve's Linux-based operating system that's optimized for gaming specifically, while retaining access to the power and flexibility of a PC. Now, by default, the Steam client serves as the user interface and provides connectivity to Steam online services, but you can still access the standard Linux desktop by switching to desktop mode and using it as a PC. And if you didn't know, only the original Steam Deck and the Steam Deck OLED, both manufactured by Valve, are the only other handhelds running this OS. Now, with Windows not being optimized for gaming or handhelds in general, in my experience, does SteamOS actually make a difference to performance? Spoiler alert, yes, absolutely. That's right, it's benchmark time, baby, and strap in because this is wild. Here's the Lenovo Legion Go S Windows version against the SteamOS version, running in 4 popular Steam games, both running in performance mode at its native resolution of 1920 by 1200. Starting off with Cyberpunk 2077 medium settings, no upscaling, the SteamOS version of the Go S delivers 62.5% increased performance in average frames. And just to top it off, the min frames of the SteamOS version are much better than the average frames on the Windows version. Oof. Moving on to Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered. Again, medium settings, no upscaling, and it's still not a playable experience in my opinion on SteamOS, but you can clearly see there 16 frames a second as opposed to 10. You have much higher mins and much higher max FPS as well. On to Elden Ring, medium settings, no upscaling. It's another win for the SteamOS version with higher average frames, min frames and max frames, and once again the SteamOS mins on this are higher than the average on the Windows. And in our final benchmark, we have Black Myth Wukong benchmarking tool low, FSR 100% resolution scale, and it is double the performance, double average frames, double min frames and double max frames. It really is night and day between these two devices. Guys, honestly, I ran these benchmarks over and over again because I could not believe how much more performance this device has. And just to be clear again, the only difference between the two devices we're testing right now is that there's a different operating system on it. It is night and day. SteamOS is much more optimized for gaming, we knew that, but I think this signals just how poorly optimized Windows is for the gaming experience. Next up, we thought it was only fair to test the Legion Go S Steam Edition against one of the only other devices running SteamOS. So we pitched it against the Steam Deck OLED at the low resolution of 1280 by 800 in a number number of popular games. And we'll put the slides on screen now just to show you the performance. First off, Cyberpunk 2077 medium settings at the low resolution, and you can see a marked difference between the two devices in the same game. It's really no match. And it's the same story in Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered. Again, the low resolution, medium settings, and it's another win for the SteamOS at this resolution. And honestly, at this resolution, it's pretty playable with these frames on the SteamOS version. Moving on to Elden Ring, medium settings, no upscaling. At this resolution on the Steam Deck OLED, it's a perfectly playable experience, and I played through the whole game with these settings in Elden Ring. But as you can see, the Go S with SteamOS is better performance, but not by as much as you would expect. This is a really optimized game at this resolution. Let's take a look at Shadow of the Tomb Raider, highest settings, no upscaling, and there's a 9 FPS difference between the Steam Deck OLED and the Legion Go S SteamOS edition at this resolution. And finally, let's take a look at Black Myth Wukong benchmarking tool, low FSR 100% resolution scale, and it's another win for the SteamOS version, as you would expect, of the Go S versus the Steam Deck OLED, with higher average, higher mins, and much higher max in this case. What's that you said? More benchmarks? They're on the way now. Here's the Legion Go S SteamOS version up against the MSI Claw 8 AI Plus, which is one of the only other devices running in 1920 by 1200. Let's start with Cyberpunk 2077, low settings this time, no upscaling, and the MSI Claw obviously beats out the Legion Go S, but just want to factor in £400 price difference between these two devices, and you get 10 average FPS more. Moving on to Shadow the Tomb Raider, high settings, again 10 FPS difference between these two devices. Now moving on to Black Myth Wukong benchmarking tool, low settings, FSR 100% resolution scale, there's an 8 average FPS difference between these two devices. So how does this device handle AI upscaling then? Well, I've got some benchmarks for you. Let's start off with Cyberpunk 2077 medium settings, FSR balance, and it is double performance in average, double in min, and more than double in max. It's so much better than the Windows version, I cannot tell you. Moving on to Oblivion Remastered, not as much of a difference as I thought there'd be. Actually slightly lower mins on the SteamOS version, but you do get higher average and higher max FPS too. That's with medium settings, FSR balance, and frame generation on. And finally, Black Myth Wukong, low settings, 100% resolution scale, frame generation on too. There's a 7 FPS difference in average, but much higher mins and higher max in this game for the SteamOS version. Now, although the MSI Claw 8 AI Plus is clearly the better device in terms of pure performance, you'd expect that considering there's a £400 difference between the two devices. I mean, it is almost double the price. So when you look at price to performance, even in the game it performed worst in comparatively against the MSI Claw 8 AI Plus. With the Go, you're clearly getting better price to performance. In terms of battery life, I was a bit disappointed, to be honest. We saw really similar levels of performance between the Windows and the SteamOS version, just about managing an hour and a half on Cyberpunk 2077 in performance mode, which around about matches what we saw with the Windows version, very, very close between the two. But it is around half an hour less than the Steam Deck OLED manages, which is still clearly the king of efficiency. In conclusion then, the Legion Go S with SteamOS retains the strong design and hardware choices made by the Windows version, but adds a truly gaming optimized operating system, giving it better performance pretty much across the board. I can confidently say if you're going to buy the Legion Go S, don't get the Windows version, don't bother, just get this one. But there are compromises too, right? SteamOS doesn't do everything perfectly. It can't play games from other launchers, for example, and it can't play every game on the Steam library. For example, on the Windows version, I could boot up F125 or FC25 for that matter, but EA's anti-cheat doesn't play nice with Linux, and you just can't get them to launch in SteamOS at all. And then there's the price too, which, yes, this guy is only £20 more than the Steam Deck OLED, but you get half the storage, half the brightness, you don't get an OLED display, and it's quite a bit heavier than its Valve rival, almost 100 grams in fact. But you do get the high resolution display and the high refresh display. If performance at a value is all you care about, the Legion Go S with SteamOS is the handheld to go for right now. And in terms of the value that it offers, it really is a compelling option for the price, and it should certainly make you think twice about spending £899 or £799 on more expensive handhelds, with this guy available for under £500. Against the Steam Deck OLED though, it's a bit trickier. There are trade-offs and compromises to be made if you choose the Go S, so it's going to come down to personal preference and what you want from a handheld. But look, there's no denying this is a serious rival to the Steam Deck OLED in the more value-orientated gaming handheld space, and I'm really excited to see which other brands can work with Valve to get SteamOS on their handhelds in future, because the world's first licensed one, well, it's pretty damn sweet. I'm going to give the Legion Go S with SteamOS a 5 out of 5 here on All Out Gaming. That matches the 5 out of 5 score we gave the Steam Deck OLED because it's so close in terms of value and they each offer something different, but they're both excellent devices in their own right. Do you agree with my points about the Legion Go S, or do you disagree? Let me know in the comments, and look, if you've got any questions at all, drop them in below and I'll try and get to as many as I can. And if you like this video, drop a like, get subscribed. We've got loads more hardware stuff coming in future, and honestly it helps a lot more than you realise. Thanks for watching though, and I'll see you in the next one.